Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Rahshawn, aka Mr. Greenheart, and this is the Ant Green Show Sports Podcast. Now, today we got some special guests, one that you guys might be familiar with, and another one that is brand new to the show. And today we're going to be going into a few different subjects. One regarding, of course, some Canadian athletes, professionals, and a bit of the Raptors, just to give some insight to say, what's going on for Canadian sports and Canadian basketball in particular. And then we're also going to talk about some of the matchups that have happened in the NBA recently, along with some league news, and have just an open mic conversation in terms of what's been going on. We're close to the midway point of the season. All-Star break is around the corner. But without further ado, we're going to get right into it. So, of course, everybody, we have Kenton Lowe back and our new guest speaker, Sheldon Surjue. Kenton, I'll let you take the floor now. Just let people know what you've been up to and where they could find you for any of your social medias.
Yeah, so what's up, everybody? My name's Kenton, so I decided to come back on the show, see how everybody's doing, catch up with some of my boys, you know what I mean, from back in the day. But yeah, honestly, I've been up to the same stuff, especially with this COVID, you know what I mean? Everything's kind of been a little on the down low lately. But aside from that, I'm always down to talk sports. Been in the sports, the whole time, especially now with all the extra time we all got in our hands. And if you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at Low Key Talks. That's LOWEKEY Talks, TALKS.
Yes, sir. Thanks for being on board, Kenton. Guys, check him out. He has some good insight. Not just basketball. You got a lot of other sports he talks about. So definitely make sure to tune in for that if you got any questions for him. And then, yes, our new guest speaker, we got Sheldon in the building. Appreciate you being here, man. Right. Let people know who you are and a little bit about yourself and what you're up to.
Yeah, so again, thank you for having me. Really appreciate this opportunity. I love to talk sports and, what's going on with the world. So this is an amazing opportunity. And, this is a great idea that you're doing, especially with COVID, we can't really connect and all this kind of stuff. So to be able to do this is fantastic. Yep. Big ups to you, man. So again, my name is Sheldon. I have a company called, me and my brother actually have a company called Champs Basketball, where we go around different schools to, teach kids basketball and to teach them a true love for the game, try to make activities for them as fun as possible. So I've been doing that for since 2014. Mm-hmm. So it's been a while that we've been doing that, and we've grown every year. We're doing summer camps, we're doing March break camps, but obviously nice. Things cooled down with COVID. So right now we're gonna have 2 programs going at private schools, because the public schools that we usually have programs at, they're not really allowing us to do anything there right now. But things are on the up.
Yep.
And we have. I'm also coaching at John Abbott College, the AAA men's basketball team, D1 team. I'm helping out there as an assistant.
That's what's up.
And I'm also coaching at PC. I'm coaching the high school basketball team at PC. So I'm trying to stay as active as possible, and trying to do some mentorship as well. So it's been real.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. And ladies and gentlemen, we have quite a bit of experience from Sheldon, not only from a player standpoint, but also on a coaching standpoint, training and development. So really great to get some insight of that and get some different perspectives, as we've all been playing sports for a while and even still play it as a hobby and for the love of the game. It's great that you're still involved in helping future generations, because that's what it's all about. It's about giving back, and kids sometimes just need a bit of direction and just to organize themselves in a better way. So it's really great to have you on board, and looking forward to seeing what you continue to do with your camps and with your brother working on helping kids get better at things that they love to do most. So that is great, ladies and gentlemen. We have our host, and so without further ado, we're going to jump into today's episode. As I mentioned before, we do want to highlight some of our Canadian athletes, and as well as the Toronto Raptors being one of the Canadian teams we have to support. I just wanted to spend a few minutes on just some of the stuff that's been going on with them. Right now, in terms of the Raptors perspective, they've had a pretty decent season. They're sitting at about 8th right now in the Eastern Conference. Now, mind you, because of COVID protocol and injuries and stuff like that, they've never really had full strength roster for majority of the season. But just to kind of throw it out at you guys, what are your thoughts on the Raptors? Anybody can jump in. What do you guys thoughts are on the Raptors so far? And is there anything that you guys think that they could be doing better, or do you think that they're just kind of still in a rebuild mode? I'll kind of leave the floor open if anybody wants to jump in.
Yeah, I'll start off because I remember you've been a Toronto Raptor fan for a long time.
Definitely.
For a long time. I don't remember when you were. Yeah. So, but I'll be honest with you. I've recently become one in the last few years. This is just before they won the championship. And the reason why is because I really like Masai Ujiri. I think he's probably the game's best GM.
Yeah.
If not top 3. And I stand by every decision he's made. Since then. Like I think he's fantastic. And from getting Kawhi, I think that was a good move. People might disagree, but I think that was a good move.
Ooh.
I think Barnes is a great move over Suggs. So I think that as long as the Raptors have him, they're gonna be fine. He's like a superstar in and of itself.
And it's good. They have he's the type of guy who's made some really good decisions for the Raptors that have helped them kind of stay afloat. They could have been a bottom Eastern team and like really out of the race. But yeah, like you said, Scotty Barnes was a huge move for them. And I haven't seen Kem Birch in the lineup. I think he's still coming off injuries, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he might have a sore knee right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Him and Boucher. Boucher, I know, missed a bit of time, but I mean, hey, look, how crazy is that we have 2 Canadians on the Toronto Raptors and both from Montreal, which is pretty crazy. So, but no, I really like Masai Ujiri. He's he's helping them stay afloat. What do you think about so far the Raptors, Kenton, just in terms of their season and the moves they've made and their management?
Well, definitely, like if you look at the roster right now, I think they're a little bit of a rebuild. If you look at the roster top to bottom, but what I like about the team overall is that they've managed to stay competitive. I mean, they started off kind of slow. I think they were in the bottom of the East at one point at the beginning of the season. They battled back and they're in 8th place right now with a big win over Miami last night. So I think for a team that's in the rebuild section, I do agree with you guys. Masai Ujiri has been doing a good job in terms of keeping them competitive. So I mean, as long as they make the playoffs, I think that's all anybody can really ask for while we're in that transition. And at this point, it's just looking to see what kind of guys are going to be staying for the long term and seeing what they have to build the future around, basically.
Absolutely. Like, we all want Toronto to do well as a Canadian team. The Eastern Conference has gotten better. So, it's good to kind of see where they stand, what they're doing. I like some of the pieces that they have, whether they move them around the trade deadline. I've heard talks of people, of Chris Boucher getting moved. There's some good assets that the Toronto Raptors have built up. And I feel like the Toronto Raptors has always been a spot where players go to develop, and then they usually blow up sometimes after Toronto. Sometimes they do well in Toronto, but a lot of players have passed through Toronto. So I wouldn't be surprised if when guys move on, if any trades happen, that they go on and they get starting roles somewhere else. But good to see the Raptors doing well. And just really quickly, like some Canadians that have been really standing out to me. I know Wiggins got an all-star nod for starter position. That's great. He's playing in Golden State, so he's probably the best place you could play in basketball, if you ask me. Coaching system, good mix of young and old. I know RJ Barrett has been playing pretty well for the Knicks, although the Knicks have kind of started to fall apart, and I don't know what to say really because the hype is gone, but New York is still alive. It's just, it's tough to play in a big city, but RJ is doing well. Any Canadian athletes that maybe Sheldon, any Canadian athletes that have stood out to you so far this season, or anyone you're kind of proud of to say like they've really come a long way and they're doing pretty good in the league now?
Tons, man. You could start off with, even a guy like Kem Birch, even though he's injured right now. I'm just so proud to see him out there because this guy, he was on my brother's team back at Brookwood. He came to my house a few times, and to see him on TV and killing it, and he did a really well in Orlando, and to see him now in the Raptors it's a really good feeling. Also, what's his name? Kem Birch and Boucher. Boucher is someone that I played with at Kinkler. I don't know if you guys remember Kesley. Kesley brought him through to Kinkler one time.
Okay.
And I got a chance to play with the Boucher, and I told him, I'm like, yo, you have a chance. This is before he was at Oregon. I'm like, you have a chance, man. You have a chance. And I think that game he had like 28 points, 12 blocks. I was like, who's this guy? You know what I mean? Like, what the heck is going on here? Who is this? Why don't people know about this guy? There was another guy named, I don't know if you guys know him, Nick Desalier. He's another guy, man. If you don't know him, man. unbelievable talent. I don't know what he's doing now, but it was him and Boucher that was like, yo, people got to know who these guys are, man.
100%.
Unbelievable. So to see these guys in the league, even Lou against Dort. I used to play with his brother in the church league back in the day. So just the connection and the fact that, the league is so well represented by Montreal players now, it's a really, really good feeling. Even that guy Duarte from Indiana, I don't know if you know.
Is he, how many seasons he's been in now?
He's a rookie.
He's a rookie.
Oh, okay, right.
Rookie, I think he's averaging like 15 points a game or something like that. He's listed as being, I think, Dominican or Puerto Rican, but he's actually born in Montreal.
Wow.
So the league is
crazy.
very, very well represented right now by Montreal and Canada. So it's a really good time to be, a Canadian basketball fan.
Absolutely. Kenton, what do you think, man? Any guys that have stood out to you, or just basically, guys you're proud to see doing what they're doing?
Well, I'm glad to see what Andrew Wiggins is doing in Golden State for sure, getting his first selection as an all-star player this year. I think that culture and that environment has been pretty good for his development in terms of not having to be the primary or secondary scorer on a nightly basis.
Yeah.
He comes in, he does what he has to do, and he plays his role. And I think obviously he's doing it at a high level because he's managed to get himself an all-star spot as a starter. So I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I was also going to mention Lucas Dort. I think although his team's not doing too well in OKC, I feel like he's forged out a pretty prominent role on that team, and it's good to see what he's been able to do over the last 2.5 years or so. So I'm happy to see that as well.
Yeah, man. It's great to see these guys, especially Sheldon, like you having an opportunity to play with them and then seeing where they are. It's something to be really proud about, but they're actually making an impact in the league. It's not like these guys, obviously you want to support Canadian athletes, us being Canadians, but to see the impact that they're making, Boucher is a key player. So is Dort. Ken Birch, obviously when he was healthy, he was brought in from from Orlando, sorry. And so the Raptors are going out of their way to get these type of players, and then just Canadian players stuff like Shea Gilgeous Alexander hit really big shots in the early parts of the season. RJ Barrett. What's that?
No, I was saying Shea is like super talented, man. Super talented.
Being
one of the smoothest players in the game.
Yeah, straight up. And like still young, still potential. I mean, he's in OKC, so it's going to be hard for him to do what he needs to do to like get those all-star nods and stuff. But anyway, always great to touch on our Canadian athletes. And in the future episodes, we're definitely going to try to get some athletes on here, maybe get some of their perspectives, and just to continue to promote professionals in the sporting space that are Canadian. We want to help support local, but good to see how these athletes have been progressing, and can't wait to see what else they have in store. But otherwise, guys, so, some league news and some matchups that have happened. I've had a chance to watch some games recently. I know another big game that passed was Lakers versus Brooklyn. Lakers did take that win, and that was the return of Anthony Davis. So they had, they're trying to build their chemistry. I really like the fact that, in a lot of these big matchups, you're not getting full strength, but you're seeing what a team could do without certain guys in the lineup. I'll just kind of leave it as an open floor to you guys. Like, maybe we'll start with Sheldon. So Sheldon, what's kind of been some highlights that you've seen throughout the season with key matchups, even like some players, if they've been playing above their potential? Like, what's your overview and your feedback on how the league has been so far?
Well, it's been a really entertaining year for sure. I'm a LeBron fan, so it's been definitely roller coaster up and down right now. But as you mentioned, they played the Nets the other day, and they got away with the win. Obviously, with Durant out, and did Kyrie play that game? I know Harden was there.
I don't think Kyrie played. No.
Yeah, I don't think Kyrie played. So they did get the win. Anthony Davis was on minutes restriction, but he did look good, coming back. And again, they've only played, I think, maybe 10 games together all year in between Anthony Davis, Russ, and LeBron. So there's still a lot of we don't really know what this team can be. So I'm optimistic, but at the same time, it's been frustrating. It's been really frustrating.
Yeah.
But the league is loaded on talent, man. I don't think there's ever been a time where there's this many talented players. There's a debate to be had on the style of play and for the games being played properly, quote unquote, but. That's debatable, but you can't argue the fact that the league is just loaded loaded with talent.
For sure.
So many talented players, and it's, every night they're getting highlights. They can do a top 20 every night. They do a top 10, but really and truly they can be a top 20. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just fun to watch, man.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. And Kenton, are you feeling the same way? You're feeling like, do you got a team yet, Kenton? Are you still just love of the game, or are you riding with anyone? Any teams that's look good to you this year that you want to support all the way through?
No, honestly, I'm kind of in the same boat as Sheldon, where I'm a big LeBron fan, so I kind of like to follow where he goes. And right now he's on the Lakers, so that's a team I'm kind of, keeping an eye on at the moment.
Good time.
But
good
honestly,
time.
I like. No, but honestly, I like what the Chicago Bulls are doing. I saw them as being a serious threat preseason. I like what they've been doing so far. They look pretty good. I think better than expectation is what I would call them, considering where they're at in the East right now. They're in second place. A couple games behind Miami. So I like what they're doing in Chicago. I like the culture they're building and the players they have. They got a pretty nice, young core there, and they got guys like veterans like DeRozan and Vucevic. You know what I mean, to kind of anchor those guys. But I like the culture they're building in Chicago, and it's good to see that they're doing well. So as Lakers, I mean, honestly, I feel like as long as the Lakers get into the playoffs, I think they'll be okay. I still see them as maybe not favorites, but I could still see them winning the NBA championship this year if they can get things right at the right time, because that's what it's all about, right? Playoffs are about runs and getting the team chemistry going. Well, playoffs are predominantly health, team chemistry, and just getting on a run at the right time. So I think the Lakers are very capable of doing that if they have all three of their guys in place and healthy.
So yeah, Sheldon, you were gonna say, what were you up to?
Yeah, I was gonna say that I second that about Chicago. Before the season started, I remember when they got Lonzo, I was like, okay, Lonzo, that's a good move. With DeRozan there, Lonzo, Levine. And then when they got Caruso, I was like, no, they didn't. They didn't just take that Caruso from the Lakers like that, man. Yeah. Because that gives them 2 point guards with great defense, and that guys that can create team chemistry with their passing. You got 2 guys like one. If you got one of those guys on your team, you know what I mean? One guy that can play a guard, that can play defense and can create chemistry, not just pass, but create chemistry with their timing and their pace. Like you got 2 guys like that in Chicago, 2 superstars in Levine and DeRozan, and then they got an all-star center. So they're a bench piece, 1 or 2 bench pieces away from being true contenders. Top 3, I would say. 1 piece maybe away.
Yeah.
And what's crazy about them is they've been kind of beat up with injuries too. I mean, Lonzo's out for 6 to 8 weeks. Levine's been out. Vucevic had COVID at one point. So, I mean, them too, they haven't really gotten that team chemistry together. But once they do, they could be even better than what they're at now.
Yeah. I like Chicago. I want to jump back quick to, both of you guys' support for the Lakers and my own perspective. Look, I think the regular season is what it is. Sometimes the Lakers should win those games. They kind of, drop the ball on Christmas, and is it Claxton that gave LeBron, LeBron gave LeBron a slam up poster for his kids to watch. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, the Lakers have the pieces. But my question to you guys is this: do the Lakers need to make any moves to be in the position that they need to be to win a championship, or do you think that the roster they have now is sufficient to win a chip? Because I'm hearing that they want to move Russ, and I don't know if that's the right move, because they're looking to bring in. I mean, I've heard John Wall, that trade was declined because there wasn't like an extra draft pick thrown in. But do the Lakers need a move to really be in contention of really coming up with a chip, or what do you guys think? I think it's
personally,
yeah.
No, personally, I was gonna say I don't think they need to make too. I think Russ would be too big a move to make this at this point in the beginning of the season. At this point of the season. I don't think John Wall's the answer either. I mean, John Wall's played 40 games in 5 years. I mean, the best ability is availability. So why would you trade for somebody who you know is not going to be available on a nightly basis? And if you're looking at stats, I mean, John Wall is not much better than Russell Westbrook if you look at the statistics. So I mean, I don't see how you benefiting if you're making that trade. You're just giving away draft picks.
The only thing with John Wall is
don't have.
The only thing with John Wall is that he might Westbrook it's the turnovers issue. It's the turnover issue that's the problem with the Lakers. I don't think that even his 3-point shooting, I don't think they mind. It's just the fact that he turns the ball over so much, which Wall might not do as much. so they're considering it, but I wouldn't make that move for the reason you just mentioned as well. I don't know, because, Russ puts him in a difficult position because his contract's like $44 million or something like that. And THT hasn't been playing to the standard that they wanted him to, because he's still young. He has great defense, but his shot's not there yet. He needs another year for that, for his shots to start dropping, I think. So, I don't know.
So, yeah, look, I think the Lakers have the pieces now. Some haven't maybe played. Like, I was really surprised to see the role Malik Monk has taken. Like, they kind of brought him in hoping that he would just give them a spark, but like in most cases he's like an essential player to their lineup because he hits big shots. He could finish around the rim. I think the Lakers have been favorited just because of the roster they put together, the names on the roster, but no one's taken into consideration that the chemistry that they have. Like, my beef with the Lakers is this: last season they had Montrezl Harrell, Shooter. They had some good pieces. They had Caruso, and it didn't come together when they needed it to. And I don't know if it's because like everybody's expecting LeBron to still just carry the load, but Anthony Davis is, I don't know if he's going to end up one of those players. I hate to wish injuries on anybody, but I don't know if he's going to be one of those players that ends up like just injury prone or just not able to finish games. Like, I know he's looked a lot better. I think he's even lost a bit of weight. That's what some of the commentators were saying. But when it comes to the Western Conference, like right now, Phoenix and Golden State, they're the teams to beat. I think as good as the Lakers are on paper, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, they should, and I think it's arguable. I don't know if you guys think that they should have been all-star starters, but they're really doing a good job with Phoenix. They're picking up right where they left off. They have depth. They play well together. People know their role. And then the Golden State Warriors and Clay just came back. So, I mean, if the Lakers are to make a deep run, they have to face one of those two teams because guaranteed they're going to be there. How do you think they match up with the top competition? Like, how do you feel the Western Conference stands? Because I feel like the East, it's a little easier to predict in some cases, but what do you guys think in terms of some of the strong teams in the East and in the West? I'll maybe start with Sheldon on this one.
Yeah, like as you said, like Phoenix is no joke. Phoenix is no joke. They have an amazing coach. Chris Paul totally turned the franchise around with his ability to lead. Mm-hmm. And then you got an uppercomer like Booker. You got Ayton. And you got a very strong core with Crowder and who's the shooter there?
Bridges and Cam Johnson.
Cam Johnson. I mean, that squad is loaded. They have chemistry. Mm-hmm. Once you have defense and chemistry on the offense, and you have like veteran leadership who know how to get the job done. Mm-hmm. You're going to be a top-notch league team, and that's what the Suns have. And obviously the Warriors would play back. He's getting better every game. Like at first I wasn't sure, like he might be able to get around 15 to 20 points a game first year back. He was off 2 years, but the guy's completely back now. He had a game winner the other day that sealed the game. So
yep.
I don't see the Lakers right now as it stands. The Lakers, might get a game or two in a series against those guys, honestly.
Yeah. And Eastern Conference, you think any teams that are standing out to you that look like they're pretty much good contention for a championship run?
Well, honestly, I think it's Milwaukee. And the reason why is because this year, they're another team that's been, had to deal with injuries. And I don't think Middleton and Jrue Holiday and Giannis have played more than 5 or 6 games together this year. Right. So their record is, I think there might be like 4th or 5th, but, when those guys are, healthy in the playoffs, they're going to be a nightmare. And who knows what the situation with Kyrie, how that plays out in the playoffs, which series, I'm not even sure which arena he can play in when it comes to the playoff. I know he can't play in his own. So it might be better for the Nets to actually have a worse record, get around the 5th or 6th seed. That way they're on the road and Kyrie can play. It's crazy. So, right now I would have the Bucks at the top, probably Chicago once they get healthy. Mm-hmm. Nets just because Durant is that dominant, and then Chicago. But those four are it's a toss up really.
Yeah, they have the best pieces to make a run. I think especially for Milwaukee, they haven't lost a lot of their core, but no, I agree with you. Those teams, Durant, yeah, that situation in Brooklyn is going to be interesting. But we'll swing this one over to Kenton and then kind of give you guys a wrap up here of the episode. But Kenton, who you think right now in terms of Eastern Conference teams, Western Conference teams have a good chance at making it the top 3 spot or even just making it to the championship?
Yeah, so for me, it's very straightforward. I mean, I'm looking at the West right now, and the only teams that I'm really worried about are Golden State and the Phoenix Suns. Golden State, for obvious reasons, they've been great for the last, 6-7 years now. Phoenix Suns are a great team, and you can't say that they don't have the experience anymore. They've been to the NBA Finals, so they know what it's like to get there. So I think if the Lakers were to run into them, it'd be a problem. They'd have a much better chance against them than Golden State, but I feel like those two teams are the teams that the Lakers need to be looking at or aiming for if they're looking to get to the NBA Finals for sure.
Yep.
And the East, it's pretty. To be honest with you, Brooklyn, when healthy, they should be on the clear-cut favorite. But who's going to be available? Is Kyrie going to be able to play? Is Kevin Durant going to be there? Is James Harden going to be in a good mood? Like, how is he going to be feeling from a night-to-night basis? So until they get that sorted out, I don't know if I could trust Brooklyn right now, but I mean, aside from that, Miami's looking good, Chicago's looking good, and you gotta give Milwaukee a nod too because they're the defending champs right now. So I think it's pretty straightforward right now in terms of where I'm going right now with my picks for who's gonna make it to at least who's gonna be competitive in the NBA playoffs for sure when that time comes around. Mm-hmm. But I mean, aside from that, I mean, you got some teams in there that may Philadelphia. I mean, Cleveland's in fourth place, but I mean, who's watching them? And, you know what I mean? Like, come on now, playoff time. You know what it is. For sure, if playoffs started tomorrow, they'd be getting bounced by the Bucks. I mean, who's taking seriously? Who's taking them seriously? You know what I mean?
Yo, I want to just throw it out there. Cleveland Cavaliers. There could be a few first round upsets. It's just luck of the draw. Something happens, the team gets hot. But it is a 7-game series, so a lot of the time the game slows down, the veteranship shows, some of the experienced players start to play their game, and it's hard to stop them already. Yeah, I like a lot of those picks. For me, the biggest one is I think that because the Brooklyn Nets, we don't know how they'll be able to play together at full strength. And if they do, what the scenario will look like. So I think the East is wide open. I actually think the Bucks have the best chance of going back to the finals. If Giannis just plays somewhat consistent, doesn't play too much out of his game, I think they have the best chance. Chicago, my only concern with them is interior defense. And if Vujacic gets in foul trouble or he gets hurt, forbid, who's really going to back up for them? They need to find.
They don't have a deep bench.
They don't have a deep bench, and they don't have like a traditional big in a sense that a rim protector. I mean, Vujacic is all-star shooting center, like an all-star offensive center, but I feel like their interior defense, they might be able to just blow people out the water. DeRozan and Levine can go off, but
Right.
Yeah, I like Chicago. I like what they're doing. They're coming together. Western Conference, as much as Golden State and Phoenix are locks, I know a lot of people don't like it, but if the Utah Jazz find a way to play well, every year it seems like, they always finish high in the standings, and I don't know what it is in the playoff time. I guess they just don't have the it factor. Donovan Mitchell being the leader, it's hard to say that they're going to like contend, but you never know what could happen. I think best chances right now for sure the teams we named. I'd like to see Philadelphia do a little bit better, but that the Ben Simmons saga, I don't know. Would you guys trade? This is a kind of right off the top, but would you wait and trade for James Harden if he became available for Ben Simmons? Do you think that would work for Brooklyn for next year? So do you think Brooklyn and Sixers need to kind of agree, like, okay, like we're going to work this out and just kind of working on the side? Would you guys take that trade for Ben Simmons?
Oh, if you're Brooklyn, if you're Philadelphia, 100% you're taking that trade. But I don't think that I think Brooklyn is really all in on James Harden, even though he hasn't committed to them long term. I really think that they're all in on making these three guys the core of their team for the rest of the season, no matter what the situation may be, no matter what stories are coming out of Brooklyn right now. I mean, I think Brooklyn is all in on James Harden and basically going with those three going forward. I don't think that James Harden is going to, if he does stay there, Brooklyn's not going to be trading him. He's going to be walking away. Brooklyn's not going to get anything. It's going to be free agency. I don't see Brooklyn trading him anytime soon, regardless of the fact that he may be unhappy with the situation as is.
Yeah, I could see that happening from Brooklyn too. Sheldon, any final thoughts on the Nets? If you think anything could happen for there with James Harden?
I think that's the trade everyone wants to see. I think that's the move that Philly wants to make for sure. I mean, Daryl Morey and Harden already have the connection, but I don't see, the Nets making that move, to acquire Simmons. And, at this point, I think Simmons, a lot of people, have probably negative opinions about Simmons, especially his character at this point. His character seems to be in jeopardy right now. So I'm not really, I don't see Nets wanting to make that move, even though he'd be good for them. Bring, a guard who can, create chemistry and have defense. Another one of those guys. So, couple that with Kyrie and Durant would be amazing. Might be better than even, a Harden, but I don't see the move happening right now.
We'll see what happens with that. But ladies and gentlemen, that's why you're going to tune in for the next episode. We're going to hopefully have another guest speaker. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Make sure to follow my guest speakers on all their social media platforms. I'm Mr. Greenheart signing out for now. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.